Hola VC, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good. This video, like in the title, is for Adam Lee. Mainly it's to get to his 180 subs celebration and contest. So congratulations to you, Adam, on reaching 180, but by the time I upload this, you'll probably have over 200, but congratulations nonetheless. And in his thread and contest, he was asking for us to show top 10 favorite male artists from the 80s, and I didn't really rank mine. It's just 10 male artists I really enjoyed from the 80s, and that is something I have in common with Adam. We are both 80s fans. I mean, I could have showed 20, 30, 40, 50 records from the 80s that I really like. Some just, I left a lot out that needs honorable mention. I'll get to that later. But congratulations, Adam. I mean, we're both 80s freaks, and it's good to see 80s people getting over the hump and celebrating by throwing a contest like this. It's really cool. And then later I will get to another thing from Adam. He threw up there a question to the VC, the types that you subscribe to and why do you say subscribe to them? And then he said ask him 5 questions directly. So I didn't really come up with 5 questions, but there's one big question I would love to ask you, but I'll get to that later in the video. And again, once again, congratulations on reaching 180. You're probably at 200 by now, but congratulations nonetheless. And let's get to showing some 80s records. This is not ranked. This is just 10 male artists from the 80s that I've always admired. So let's get started. And if you're gonna bring up 80s albums, you have to show this one. This is the 80s album in my opinion. Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. Though they're not solo artists, it's a band composed of 2 males, so that's how I'm going about it. Yeah, you can't get to the 80s without showing this record. It came out in '85, and almost every friend I had in high school loved this album and was singing their songs nonstop and playing them nonstop in their cars. At one point, it was hard to escape this album because it was everywhere, and it is such a great album. Of course, the one before this one, The Hurting, the one after this, So Many Things to Love, all great albums as well, but this was their masterpiece right here. And Adam also wanted us to say what our favorite song was from this. I actually have 2. It's The Working Hour and Everybody Wants to Rule the World, in my opinion, make this album. Those 2 songs together, back to back, just defines what Tears for Fears is for me. Of course, there's other great songs on here like Shout, Mother's Talk, and Head Over Heels, Broken, but I really love The Working Hour and Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Those 2 songs, they could never top those 2 songs in my opinion. It was just that good, but they came up with some great songs before and afterwards, but those 2 were gold. And so is this album, so definitely has to get first mention in my 80s top 10 males. Another male that's definitely has to be shown is Howard Jones. I love Howard Jones, particularly this album. Just some great songs on here. If I had to show one album, I guess it would have to be this one. I really wanted to show Humans Live because I really love that song too, but there's some great stuff on here as well. And he was one of my favorite keyboard players and composers in the 80s, releasing pop music. I think I first heard him with the song New Song. It was like my first Howard Jones song I got addicted to, and everything he released after that for years I loved during the 80s. So he was definitely one of my favorites. God, it's hard to pick a favorite on this album alone. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Life in One Day, because that is such a happy song. It's one of those pick you up type of songs. You know, a song that just definitely lifts your spirits every time you hear it. It's just a great song. Things Can Only Get Better also was a great song. Like to Get to Know You Well, great. So that covers it for this album. Basically, favorite song on this album, Life in One Day. Just such a great song. If I were to show Humans Live, the one I really love to go to every time is Hide and Seek. Just a great, deep, atmospheric song. Great use of keyboards, and his voice sounds great, layered over all those layers of keyboards and that programmed drum beat he came up with in that song. Hide and Seek, just a great song from Humans Live. Of course, there's other great ones on that album as well, but that is a standout track for me. Life in One Day is another standout track on this album as well. And Dream Into Action is just a slam dunk hit with me. One of my favorite albums that came out in the 80s. I'm glad to have it on vinyl too. Just a great record to listen to. Okay, and how can I not mention, how can we not talk about the 80s without showing this band, is OMD. These two guys really made some great songs in the 80s. Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, if you want to say it. But OMD is easier to say. And their favorite album of mine, of course, is Architecture and Morality. That was a good album, as well as Crush. Both great albums. If I had to pick a favorite from them, it would probably be Joan of Arc and Maid of Orleans. Those are great songs, as well as Enola Gay. Talking Loud and Clear, I thought was a good song as well. Here in America, they're best known for the song from Pretty in Pink is If You Leave. And I do like that song, but I don't say it as their strongest song. Enola Gay and Joan of Arc are definitely the ones I like the most. They're just great songs. Maid of Orleans is just fantastic as well. And they pulled out a lot of hits in the 80s. And they were just synth pop legends, these guys. And they were just consistently doing it. They were just a great artist. So OMD definitely gets mentioned. Another group all made of guys, though the lead singer went on to have a great solo career. And I'm not talking about Phil Collins. I'm talking about The Police and Sting. I love Sting's solo career. He came up with some great albums on his own, but my heart does go with The Police first. And particularly this album, I thought was just awesome. Synchronicity, and you know that, and unfortunately it would go to be their last album. Synchronicity 2, probably my favorite track on here, as well as King of Pain. Those are just great songs. Never get tired of listening to those. So I would pick that for my favorite Police song on this record. As far as Sting's solo, wow, that's a tough one. He came up with so many great songs in his solo career. To pick one, Fields of Gold comes to mind, but I think that might have been a 90s song. Definitely Children's Crusade from Dream of the Blue Turtles was a good one, as well as Fortress Around Your Heart. That was just great album, great songs from Sting solo. But The Police, this was a great album, as well as the album before it, Ghost in the Machine. But I always go to this one first, and like I said, Synchronicity 2 and King of Pain are just great songs. And Wrapped Around Your Finger is awesome as well. So Sting and The Police. And another band made of males, U2. How do you not talk about U2 if you're talking about the 80s? I could see showing Joshua Tree as the album from U2. It's the one definitely everyone knows, but this is my favorite U2 album. Don't get me wrong, Joshua Tree is a classic album, but I go to this one first, and then I go to Joshua Tree. They just sound fantastic on this record. Favorite songs, of course, is the title track, The Unforgettable Fire. Such a great song. That is hands down my favorite U2 song. Hands down. And Bad also is a great song on here. And of course, Pride in the Name of Love goes without saying. That's a great song as well. But if I were to show the Joshua Tree, Streets Have No Name automatically comes to mind. And With or Without You was a great song as well. Love those songs. Love those songs. So, yeah, but Bono's voice, The Edge's amazing guitar playing, because no one could work the effects unit like like The Edge can with his this big rack mount of guitar effects. Larry Mullen Jr. was such a great drummer, power drummer. Guy had such a heavy foot, great hard-hitting drummer. Adam Clayton was a great bass player as well. Played some really cool, memorable bass lines. So U2 definitely gets mentioned when we're talking about top 10 80s artist male. And I'm surprised, it took me a while to remember this, but Def Leppard would definitely be in that list as well, particularly this album, which came out in '88. I was a senior in high school when this album came out, Hysteria, and my God, this album ruled the whole time I was in the 12th grade, the entire time. It was just a great album, and I eventually would see them in concert. They toured after this one, but they were one of my favorite hard rock bands in the 80s. Back then they were considered hard rock, and now they're just pop rock now compared to the hard rock that's out now. But back then in the 80s they were still considered hard rock, and this was a great album. My favorite song on here, without a doubt, is Animal. I love the song Animal. It was catchy, but it was still rock. It was commercial. It was a great tune. It made the album for me. The next one off of this album, wow, that's a tough one, because there's some, I would maybe Armageddon it, but the title track Hysteria is actually really good. I always liked Hysteria, the title track. Just a great song. My favorite album from Def Leppard is Pyromania. And obviously Photograph, Rock of Ages, Foolin', those are great songs. But that is a great album from start to finish. And this one as well, but because this was so overplayed in its time, you kind of got sick of hearing Poor Sugar, Armageddon it. Women was a good song. Rocket was a good song. And Love Bites was a good song, but my God, the radio played them every 5 minutes, and the videos were constantly on MTV, so I could see people getting sick of this. We're pretty much sick of this record. That's probably why they get made fun of a lot, but in the 80s, this was a big band, and I think they deserve to be on the list. As well as this hard rock band from the 80s, Van Halen. How do you not think about Summertime in the 80s without thinking Van Halen if you're a rock fan? And this album right here, 5150, no doubt is my favorite. This is my favorite album from Van Halen. It was the first album that featured Sammy Hagar as the lead singer, as David Lee Roth was out of the band and pursued a solo career. This came out in 1986. It is still my favorite, and my favorite song on here, without a doubt, is Dreams. That is a great song, and had David Lee Roth still been the singer of Van Halen, there's no way in hell they can do Dreams, because he did not have the range to pull it off. Hagar did, and it's a great melodic hard rock song, and it's commercial. It's very listener friendly, really good stuff. To pick a second one would have to be Summer Nights. Summer Nights is a great song. It pretty much defines being a rock fan and the summertime, so a perfect anthem for that. Of course, I don't want to dismiss anything David Lee Roth did with the band. He brought something unique and wonderful to the band as well. And 1984 I thought was a really good album for David Lee Roth. Panama is just a hands down awesome kick-ass song. It's a classic, and I loved it when it first came out in '84. Still love it now. And the song I'll Wait, another keyboard track, which amongst Van Halen fans, we never forgot it, but it seems to be a forgotten song with everybody else. But it's a great song, so if I were to show 1984, I definitely would mention those as favorites. And but this is my favorite Van Halen album of all time. This is just an amazing record, and they really made a statement with Sammy Hagar as the new singer. Just a great album. All right, Adam, this is one that you showed in your video as well, but they were so good I had to show it in mine. It is In Excess Kick. Michael Hutchence, just a great singer. He's a fantastic singer. As well as the rest of the band. They sounded great together. I was lucky enough to see them in concert while he was still alive, and it was during the X tour, and they were just amazing. I was surprised how great of a live band they were. Thinking they're just a band made for video. I mean, they actually were a damn good live band. New Sensation, without a doubt, is my favorite song on this album, without a doubt. And Never Tear Us Apart, beautiful ballad. And this is a badass album, not one bad song in this entire record. This is an 80s classic, and it has to be on this list. You showed this on your video as well, but I agree with you. Michael Jackson deserves to be shown. I actually prefer the album Bad over Thriller, even though Thriller is amazing. I really do love this album. There is some gold on this album. The Way You Make Me Feel is, without a doubt, the best song on this record, as well as Smooth Criminal. Those are just two great songs from Michael Jackson. And I mean, of course, Thriller deserves to be shown. It was like one of the best-selling records of all time. Human Nature was an amazing song on that album, as well as Beat It, with Eddie Van Halen taking the guitar solo. That was 80s gold. So, how do you follow up Thriller? How do you top Thriller? You can't. You just got to write another really damn good album, and that's what he did with Bad. And then there's just so many good songs on this record. I mean, unfortunately, Thriller was such an iconic, legendary album. It's still going to get talked about no matter how many years later, but this is a damn good album in its own right, and I love listening to this. So, and like I said, The Way You Make Me Feel, Smooth Criminal, perfect for this album. All right, one more left, and did you think I really wasn't going to show this? Of course you knew I was going to show it. Phil Collins, I think you went into this, Adam, on your video as well. It's no mystery, he is a big influence on me as well as a drummer. Nothing beats Phil Collins behind the drum kit. The guy is amazing. Favorite song on No Jacket Required would have to be Take Me Home. Take Me Home is still one of my favorite Phil Collins songs. It was just amazing. I got to see him during this tour in 1985 in Sacramento, and when he did Take Me Home, it was the last song to end his set, and then of course he'd come out for an encore. Oh, it was so great when he sang that song. It was just, he had the whole arena singing the chorus with him, and it was just one of those awesome concert moments where the hair stands up on your arm kind of thing. You feel chills all over you. It was good. I also like Don't Lose My Number on this album. That is a great song. I love playing drums to that song. I think my favorite all-time Phil Collins 80s song is I Don't Care Anymore, which is the album before this, Hello, I Must Be Going. That was great. So, without a doubt, he's making the list. All right, that's going to do it for 80s albums. It took me forever to get to that. Sorry about that. And let's get to those questions you asked. Who do I subscribe to, and why do I say subscribe to them? There's really only two things that makes me want to subscribe to somebody on the VC. Number one, if their taste in music is somewhat similar to mine, obviously I'll check them out because me and that person share a lot of the same records. So that's one reason. Or if it's a person showing records I've never heard before, there's got to be something about their personality I can relate to. Like Derek likes to speak his mind, tells you what's going through his head, his opinions. Plus, he's very passionate about the music he listens to. A lot of times he throws a record up there. I have no idea what that band is or what that album is or who he's talking about. But just to see how passionate he is about music and that artist and that record, is really infectious. Another person I subscribe to is Earl of Suave, Jimmy, because I mean, I have an easier time recognizing the albums he's showing compared to Derek, though he has a different taste in music than I do. Jimmy just has a great personality. He's fun, and he's very creative with his videos. A lot of his videos have a lot to do with comedy as well as showing records, but he's real creative with his comedy. He's a really silly, crazy dude. But when he's showing records, then you can see the joy in his eyes. He's animated. He's just beside himself with excitement, showing album after album what he loves about it. And you can just see the enthusiasm in him and the spirit in him, and it just makes it fun to watch his videos. Even though we don't have similar tastes, it's just addictive to watch him talk about his videos, you know. So if I can relate to a person that way, I'll subscribe to him, stay subscribed to him, or we just have similar tastes. You know, that's really what brings me to people's channels, and it keeps me there. As far as myself, you know, I've been on the VC for 3 years now, and I'm just barely over 400 subs, so I don't exactly draw a big crowd myself. But that's okay, because I think those who come to my channel, they come and watch me video after video after video. So every time I do a video, I always see the same people responding to me, and they're like regulars. I always see myself as a little tiny corner bar, and they're my regulars. And I mean, yeah, you can go to the trendy bar across the street that has like 500 people in it and hot women dancing, or you can just hang out where friends are friends and vinyl spinning in the jukebox, that sort of thing. I always saw my channel as like everyone's little corner pub where everybody knows each other and everybody just enjoys a beer and good conversation and good music. That's how I see my channel. And the fact that I've been around in the VC as long as I have and don't even have 500 subs yet doesn't really bother me, because I have a nice little group of subs and friends that I feel very happy and lucky to have. So to me, that's what it's all about. All right, so I hope that answers your question. And you wanted us to ask you 5 questions. I didn't want to get personal because that's none of my business. But I do have one question for you, Adam. You're a big 80s fan. I'm a big 80s fan. I love 80s music. You love 80s music. But is there one or several 80s songs that just annoy you? like you hear the song and it sounds so obnoxious, and it's like someone sticking an ice pick in your ear because you hate the song so much, and it's from the 80s. I have a long list of those songs. I would say the top 2 80s songs that just absolutely get on my last nerve has to be Come On Eileen from Dixie and the Midnight Runners, I think is what that band is called. I hate that song. I hate that song with a passion, and for some reason when you bring up the 80s, people always like to talk about that song. And I don't know why, because I hate that song so much. I hate it with a passion. And another one is Men Without Hats, Safety Dance. That to me is like the most stupidest song I've ever heard in my life. And again, it's one of those 80s songs that for some reason, because it's such a novelty song, I guess, or whatever, it just doesn't go away, and people seem to love it and love it and love it, and it's well remembered, and I freaking hate the sound of that song. So I'm just wondering, Adam, is there a song or a few songs from the 80s that are big songs, real popular, won't go away, and you can't stand the sound of them? So if there is, please let me know. I'd like to know. All right, that's going to do it for this video. And God, this is long, but I had fun doing this. Congratulations, Adams, on all your subscribers, and you're going to get a lot more. All right, see you at the next video, folks. Bye-bye.